Hey everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to go through animation export settings and kind of what you need to change in this window on how to export an animation out. So, um, just because render times might get really long and not everyone has the greatest laptop, we will go a bit easier on your render settings for the animation just so you can save time and also focus on your images. So right here I just have a simple scene. If you look down here, this is a timeline, and the timeline is just the length of your animation. That's all it is. So for you guys, it might say frames. So let me just quickly change it to what yours might say. Units, frames. So yours probably says by default 90 frames. So all that means is like each frame is an image. So obviously a video is just a bunch of images in a row played at once. So I like to change this unit to seconds, and the default frames per second rate is 30. So 30 renders or 30 frames, that's 1 second. So 90 frames is 3 seconds. So let's first go ahead and change this unit to seconds just so it's easier for everyone to understand. So go up to Edit, Preferences, find your Units tab down here, and Animation Unit, change this to seconds. So now you'll see it's seconds. I For this I might just use 5 seconds. Oh, sorry, 5, just type in 5, and then drag your arrow out to go all the way to the end, otherwise it won't render everything. So now your timeline is set to 5 seconds, that's great, and you have your scene with something animated. I just have a cloth moving and a little swaying curtain. You might have water, you might have a rotating or moving object or something like that. Could be anything. But let's say now you're happy with your lighting and you're ready to export. So go up to your render settings tab. Also, actually one more thing, I highly recommend everyone to do a file save as, so that and do a save as and then call it animation file or animation scene, just so you don't mess up your image rendering one. That's what I usually do with my stuff anyways. So go up to this render settings tab like we've done before. Physical, just like always. And the main difference here is in this output tab, and it's here in this frame range. So usually when you render an image, you just have to render 1 frame. That's why it's by default it's set to current frame. For an animation, you want to set it to all frames so that it's this entire thing. And because your animation will take ages to render, usually I just like to leave mine and go overnight. I'll just set it to all frames, set this to like 1280 by 720, and to save rendering time, turn off your global illumination, and if you have this ambient occlusion, uncheck that as well. So this should be what your settings look like. If I go to physical, it's the exact same as before, except yours might be at 20%. That's totally fine. Yeah, so just have it the exact same as before. Adaptive, automatic. Make sure it's set to all frames though. That's the important thing. So that's pretty much it. And now if you hit render, which is this button here in the middle, it's also asking me, I can choose a place on where to save it before I hit render. I'm just going to uncheck save for now, because you can also save after the rendering's finished. Maybe to be safe, you might want to check this. Go find a place where you want to render it. Just call it flowing curtain animation and camera 1. Set your format to MP4, and that's it. Now if you hit render, it'll start rendering each frame. As you can see, I haven't really applied any materials or proper lighting to this scene yet, so that's why it doesn't look too good. And I haven't applied a material to my cloth, so I might just do a basic white on that one and then hit render again. And I probably got to have some lights here on the left shining into the room, but that's pretty much it. And once it's done, you'll have a video file ready to go. So it'll look like this. It'll be an MP4 file that you can just play, so double click it and you'll have something to play. So that's exactly what I did for this one. So for example, let's just say this is finished rendering. You know, you've finished everything. You can see all your frames down here. Hit save like we did before. If you guys chose not to do this save setting, you just do the exact same thing here after your animation is finished rendering. So hit save, MP4, make sure the format's MP4 and make sure the type is animation, hit OK, and then save it somewhere. And yeah, that's it. These are your settings that you need to use, and that's all you got for that. And should be pretty easy, and good luck.